The Crane and the Cuttlefish. She was a paper crane, folded in haste, creased with caution, sharp with grace. He was a cuttlefish, spilling dust, changing colors when love was discussed. She lived in a house of silver threads, where windows sighed in porcelain tongues. He drifted through neon tide pools, where secrets curled in cephalopod lungs. They met in a station where no trains ran, just clocks unwinding like old violin strings. She tipped her beak, he pulsed his hue, a greeting between sky and the deep. At dinner, she balanced chopsticks like wingtips, while his hands, slick with ink-stained love, trembled between what to hold, what to release. He spoke in ripples, she answered in folds. Nights were a puzzle of alien limbs, her bones too light, his skin too fluid. She dreamed of flight, he dreamed of ink clouds, soft enough to catch falling stars. But love is a trickster, a moon drunk on tides. One day, she found him curled in her nest, gasping for air among paper roses. She wept raindrop feathers, kissed his salt lips, and knew love was not always translation. So she carried him back to the sea, where currents wept and the corals hummed. He flickered one last iridescent plea, then vanished, just ink in the swell. Now she waits by the foam-lined shore, a crane no longer, but something less, folded by love, undone by time, a creature caught between sky and brine, whiskey and velvet. She stumbles to the mic, a slow-motion waltz of half-spilled gin, a smirk carved from neon light and cigarette haze. Her hair, a monument to defiance, a beehive thrown for ghosts of songs past. The dress, torn at the seams of old heartbreak, where sorrow stitched itself into sequins. Eyeliner, thick as midnight secrets, swooping like a swallow that forgot its way home. Then, boom, like a match against damp wood, her voice flares, smolders, sings. Notes curl, slow dancing with the smoke, phrasing sharper than a silver switchblade. Jazz timing slinking through the bass line's veins. A lost gaze, reaching back decades, to bourbon-drowned pianos and brass wailing in the dark. She sings as if the words were never written, only bled, only burned, only lived. And for 3 minutes, the world forgets to breathe verses and gunpowder. He met her on a bridge lined with rust and pigeons, where the river stitched broken reflections of street lights and sleepless dreams. She stood still, spine straight as a rifle, uniform crisp as folded paper. He, ink-stained and wind-blown, a poet with pockets full of unfinished lines. She smelled of rain and gunpowder. He smelled of libraries and longing. She carried a world of orders and duty. He carried verses that unraveled like threadbare prayers. She said, words don't stop bullets. He said, bullets don't stop love. The city coughed between them, a witness unsure of sides. When she left for war, he wrote her letters, each one a bridge of ink, each word a rebellion against silence. The wind carried them like fallen leaves, but the battlefield did not read poetry. She came back with scars she did not speak of. He held his book of unwritten endings. They sat at the same bridge, watching the river carry their reflections away. She said, I don't dream like I used to. He said, then let me dream for both of us. And in the hush between breaths, love found a way to exist, not as a promise, but as a quiet, persistent thing. Like a poem that refuses to end, the field forgets no names. The land was his skin, calloused and furrowed by seasons that whispered his name in the wind. The rain spoke to him in syllables of rust and root. The wheat bent toward his hands like a congregation in prayer. This was not just soil, it was breath, it was blood. It was the hymn of his father's father, woven into every cracked seed, every aching dawn. But men in iron suits came with paper swords, sliced the earth into numbers and deeds, said the land was no longer his to hold, no longer his to hear sing beneath his boots. He watched them plant fences where wildflowers had once confessed to the sun, watched them pave roads over the memory of his mother's voice, calling him home from the fields. And so, he sacrificed. Let the land go, piece by piece, like a man peeling away his own skin. Signed his name in ink that felt like blood. Stood at the edge of his unmade past. And swallowed the silence that followed. But the land remembers. It whispers his name in the roots of the old oak. It sighs his sorrow through the wind that rattles hollow barns. And when the rain falls, it carries his longing down to the waiting seed, where something unseen, something buried, still dares to grow. The hollow hunt. He speaks. I ran through mirrors, through rivers of glass, chasing the shape of your echoing flight. Your shadow flickered, a bird made of ash, wings dissolving into bitten light. She speaks. I was the storm, unraveling sky, spilling myself in torrents of blue. You leapt like lightning, hungry and blind. But thunder is only a ghost of pursuit. He speaks. I climbed the ribs of a dying wind, sought you in the mouth of the moon. Each step I took, the world unraveled. Each breath was a thread that frayed too soon. She speaks. I became the map that bled as you traced, a labyrinth stitched in trembling air. You followed the path my absence carved, but love is a maze that leads nowhere. He speaks. I kissed the pulse of a melting star, drank the fire your silence left. But flames grow tired, and wings collapse, and I am a hunter who has nothing left. She speaks. Then sleep, my falcon, dissolve in the dusk. Fold your longing into dust-soft hands. For I was never a thing to be caught, only a dream that slips like sand. Root-bound rebels. They stood, hands tangled like ivy veins, feet sinking into the weeping dirt, voices braided with the wind's old pain. Let the land breathe, let the roots remain. Their banners bled in the sun's red grin, words like feathers torn from a bird, floating, caught in the air's tight spin. A prophecy the silence heard. Steel came slithering, cuffs like vines, coiling wrists that once held soil. They split the pair like shattered time. His shadow dragged to the city's coil. But oh, she was caged in glass, a greenhouse where no sun could reach, trapped in whispers thin as grass, planted deep so she'd never teach. He, meanwhile, was unspooled to dust, a ghost carved thin by neon lights, a name unspoken, a spine gone rust, a root pulled wrong, bleached and white. Yet somewhere under concrete breath, where trees dream past the iron bars, their voices climb from soil and death, a protest sung in buried stars.